I suspect that many of us have been guilty of watching a person with too much suspicion, jumping to conclusions, we might say. Maybe at a family gathering or in the grocery store, you spot a person who doesn't quite fit your expectations, the one who's too loud, too different, or too outside the norm. And you catch yourself watching them to see if they'll do something wrong. And that's the scene in today's gospel. Jesus goes to dine at the home of a leading Pharisee, and everyone is watching him. They're not looking to learn anything from him, but to catch him breaking the rules. And there, in front of him, stands a man suffering from dropsy, his body swollen, his dignity visible in pain. The Pharisees' silence reveals the wound. They have allowed the law to become a shield against love. They're not cruel people. They're simply overly cautious, protectors of the Sabbath and defenders of the law. But their zeal for correctness has grown heavy, like armor they can't take off. And we can fall into that same pattern. When life feels uncertain, well, the rules always give us control. They tell us where the boundaries are, but sometimes we cling to the letter and forget the heart. We protect our idea of holiness while real people are still suffering right in front of us. Is it lawful to cure on the Sabbath or not? Jesus asked. They say nothing. Sometimes we say nothing also. And so he heals the man, not to defy the law, but to reveal its purpose. The Sabbath was made for rest and restoration. So what better day to make someone whole? Who among you, if your son or ox falls into a cistern, would not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath? He brings the law back to mercy. Because love doesn't suspend holiness, it completes it. St. Paul echoes the same truth in his letter to the Romans. He speaks with anguish for his people, the Israelites. I have great sorrow and constant anguish in my heart, he writes. Paul would have given his own life if it meant their salvation. Paul's not a rule keeper. He has his eyes fixed on the covenant of love, love that aches to save them, even when it cannot save them from themselves. We know this struggle well. We see the disorder in our world, and we want clarity. We see moral confusion, and we want the line drawn firmly. That desire isn't wrong, but Christ's commandment is greater than correctness. It's charity. And this week, we've seen another test of that charity. As our nation's government unfortunately remains shut down, many families are waking up uncertain about how they'll put food on the table when their SNAP benefits run out. These aren't statistics. They're our neighbors, our parishioners, and people who work hard and still struggle. Whatever our politics, the gospel leaves no room for indifference when it comes to the hungry. When systems fail, our mercy must rise to the occasion. The body of Christ we receive at the altar calls us to see every hungry face as his own face. If the world's laws are tangled in argument, well, the law of love still stands clear for us. Feed the hungry, lift up the lowly. Dear friends, the moral law is not a fence. It's a path. Its purpose is not to trap us in fear, but to guide our hearts in mercy. Sometimes the greater test of fidelity isn't whether we defend the rules, but whether we let love lead us through the rules toward the person in need. It finds a way to love someone rather than say, well, I can't love them because the rules say so. At every Mass, we watch the Lord stretch out his hands towards us, hands that broke bread, hands that healed on the Sabbath, and he doesn't ask us if we've earned it. He gives himself because mercy is his law. When we receive his body, we are bound to live what the Eucharist gives: love that restores, obedience that heals, and justice that lifts up the lowly. The Eucharist is not a symbol of moral success. It is the food that forms us into a people who act with the same compassion that saved us. Maybe today the Lord is placing someone right in front of you, someone who doesn't fit the rule book, who interrupts your sense of order. Before reacting, pause and hear his question again. Is it lawful to cure on the Sabbath or not?